Hey, what's up guys? Into the Burning Abyss here, back with another video. Finally guys, I've decided to finally sit down and try to make another video again. I know it's been like a month or so, a little bit more, since my last video. I just haven't had, much time. I mean, I have had some time, but I'll be honest, I'll be a little lazy with some. I haven't been wanting to update Dragonlink because I feel like the Dragonlink build that I'm using, I guess it's not really. You guys know that I didn't want to buy the Adventure package, and I'm not a big fan of it, honestly, in the first place, so I was like, I probably just won't update Dragonlink until the Bisted stuff comes out. I think that'll be an interesting addition to the deck, and at least those cards, like, they're actual dragons, so they synergize, like, they follow with the theme, unlike Adventure stuff, which is like, yeah, I'm not saying it's not bad, it's really good stuff, but I just didn't like how, I wasn't a fan of how you had to add all these non-dragon, like, stuff to make the deck good. So yeah, but Dragonlink will return probably in the future when the Biscuit stuff comes out, just because the build right now that I'm playing, it's like it's more like, pre-adventure stuff, which it's not bad, but it's definitely not up par to what, like, what you can do with the adventure stuff. But anyways, with this video I want to do my updated Burning Abyss deck profile post Power of the Elements. The set is finally out. So yeah, I think this is going to be a crazy new format. Like, you got Sply, Tearlaments, and support for other stuff like Exo Sisters, Math Mechs, and all that stuff. So that's really going to be really cool. Definitely for sure Sply and Tearlaments will be the decks to watch out for. And yeah, they're really good decks. So I decided to adjust my Burning Abyss deck to, adding in different cards to make the more, I guess, it'll be better for those specific decks that are going to be running rampant in the format. Is this still a going second build? For sure, because it's just that Burning Abyss does not, unless you're playing like Floodgates or things like that, or like anti-spell fragments in the main or D-Barrier in the main, I don't feel like BA sets up a board that, like, going first, you can't really, the deck doesn't set up a board that's like, oh, this board is unbreakable, or not even that. It's not even a board that's like remotely unbreakable. Like IP Masquerade, that's like your typical combo, like one Dark Ruler, one Droplet, one of anything of those cards. Even like an Imperm on IP, it's like you're left with Beatrice. Like, come on. So yeah, I don't feel like the going first build is really that great in order to actually, keep up with decks that can overextend through multiple interruptions like Splide, even still Adventure Dragon, like Splide, Tearlament. These decks, like Tearlaments being able to play on your turn, like when you're going first, that's insane. So yeah, I definitely don't think BA is in a good spot to go first, unless you're playing like, like the trap build, which, yeah, like I said, of course the trap build is very strong going first, like adding in certain traps like, like I said, D-Barrier and stuff like that. Definitely really good going first, and I think it's more powerful than the going second build. But of course, you're not guaranteed to always go first. And going, if you make a going second build, obviously you can just choose to go second. And even if your opponent wins the die roll, they're most likely going to choose. Most decks right now are going first, so your opponent will most likely choose to go first, so your deck will already be, prepared for going second. So, yeah, and plus, even though I don't feel like it's stronger than the going first build in terms of being able to lock out your opponent out of stuff, as an overall deck, I do feel like the going second build is just better for, obviously it's better for going second, but going first, it's still okay because we play a good amount of hand traps. So even if you have just IP Beatrice, if you have like 2 or 3 hand traps, or if you have like a back row of me maybe being like an Imperm or something, and then like, another hand trap in hand, then you have like 4 interruptions. So it's like, you don't straight up just lose to, Droplet or Dark Ruler or something like that. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to discuss with you guys. I do think this is the best way to build Burning Abyss right now. Hand trap version. It's, like I said, not as powerful as the trap version went first, but it's still you can still set up a good amount of interruptions. And going second, of course, you just try to go for Zeus Turbo and break the opponent's board like that. So pretty good stuff. Anyway, so that, guys, without further ado, let's just get right into the deck profile. Alright guys, getting right into the deck profile. I'm just going to show the main and the extra deck. So for the main, of course, the BA monsters. We got, of course, triple Graph, triple Seer, triple Skarm, and one of the latest additions, triple Farfa. So in my previous deck profiles, I was only playing like 2 Farfa, and everything else was basically the same. But now that I've decided to completely cut the Rhino Warrior, just because I don't want any chance for me to just not be able to play. And Rhino Warrior, like same as Tour Guide, if it gets stopped, Imperm Baylord, you can't play the game. So I don't want any chance of that happening. I would rather open 2 BA names that don't do anything, like being like not Graph. I'd rather open up 2 BA names like, let's say, an Alec and a Barbar or something, or a Calcav and a Barbar. I'd rather open that than open, Rhino with like a random name. So just because I don't want to take any chances to getting Imperm Baylord on the Rhino, and then I just can't play the game, and it's most likely an automatic loss, especially in today's format. So 3 of each of the best ones. Of course, Graph, best one. Sears, the second best, and then Skarm for follow-up, and then Farfa. I also, not just because I wanted more names after cutting the Rhino, it has happened a few times where, like, Desires, you banish like both Farfas, or you already opened one and you banish the other one, so it's hard to set up like interruption. So I think having 3 Farfa with the Pot of Desires build is definitely the way to go. It's worked out pretty well, and I like it so far. And of course, Skarm at 3, you just need names, and searching with Skarm obviously is very good for the follow-up. And then for the 2-ofs, we got 2 Libic and 2 Alec. These have a good amount of utility, like Libic basically helping you set up your OTKs with Tour Guide when like turn 3, or I guess turn 4 if you're going, like I said, second. And you want multiples because, again, we play Desires, so they're not as important as the other ones, but you don't really want to, banish all your copies off Desire. So just having 2 of each just decreases the chance of that happening. And plus, like I said, more names is always just really good since we're not playing the Rhino anymore. And the last 2 BAs, the 1 Calcab and the 1 Barbar. Of course, these are not as important, so you can't just play them at 1. They're kind of just utility. Calcab bouncing a card, Barbar, of course, for burn damage. So, and I do also like Barbar just because he is the biggest BA in terms of attack. So sometimes it comes up where, like, you want to beat over something without going into the extra deck, and this card is the biggest one to do that with. So that's it for the BAs. Of course, the support cards, just 2 Tour Guide. Yeah, I think 2 is fine. Sometimes I've considered playing 1, but because we're playing Desires, I definitely think you should play 2. You want that follow-up for turn 4, searching off Skarm, and then by the time you've gone to turn 4, most of the time your opponent will already have used interruptions, and they might not have as many left, so you can it's more likely that your Tour Guide will go through. So that's it for the BA monsters and their support. Going to the going second cards now. We got, of course, triple Ash. And then this is where we get into some real spicy stuff right here. Triple D-Shifter. Then we got triple DD Crow. And triple Imperm. These are the hand traps. So, of course, I think this is standard and this is standard. And in today's format, this is probably pretty standard too, just because DD Crow counters tier limits pretty good. And of course, Ash and Imperm are very versatile hand traps. Like, Ash is the most versatile of them all, covers almost every matchup. And Imperm, of course, is also pretty good. Stop your opponent. In my opinion, is better than Baylor because you can also use it it's a good 6-card draw, unlike Baylor. And of course, now talking about the elephant in the room, let's talk about the D shifter. So, of course, we know that Burning Abyss, like, D shifter is terrible, like, for our deck in terms of we get all our graveyard effects, and if everything gets banished, we don't get those effects. But the thing is, since this is a go in second build, and because we normally try to set up like some kind of XYZ play, I do think that if you're going second, you shift it on your opponent when they're going first, so they can't set up a board, and then it comes back to your turn, and you can just make an XYZ go for attack, go for Zeus. You don't have to use like the BA effects. So even though it does hurt our deck, especially for going second when you're only trying to set up Zeus, it does not really hinder us that much. It'll hinder our opponent a lot more, especially like a Tearlament's deck, or if like they activate effect, you change shifter, now they have to like mill their cards, and since they're not cost, they have to send them, they have to banish them. They can't just send for cost and they go to grave and then the actual effect will send them will banish them. No, since Tearlaments are all like effects, not actual cost, if you change shifter, now all their cards will go, they'll get banished instead of going to the graveyard. So that's really good. And like I said, shifter, it just hits so many matchups. Like a lot of matchups can't play. Like D-Link can't play. Tearlaments can't play. Decks like basically almost all the combo decks. The only decks that could most likely play through shifter is, of course, against Fluid, it's not going to do anything since they main the card themselves. But I do think Fluid is strong, yes, but I don't think it's going to be seeing a lot of play right now. But yeah, that's it for the hand trap portion. These 12. Like I said, because we're going second build and try to go into XYZs, you can just play. You can play under shifter, honestly. Like I've tested it a little bit. I haven't been able to test it too much yet, but I'm definitely going to test it out around more. And now for the last one, second card, Dark Ruler. Normally, Droplet is amazing in Burning Abyss. Burning Abyss monsters, you discard them. With Droplet, they get all their effects, so it's like it doesn't even matter. Like you get to negate your opponent's board, and you get to activate effects like Grab, Special Summon from the deck, and all that stuff. Seer, Bring Back from Grave, or Farfa, you get to negate their whole field, and then you get to remove a body on board. So, really good stuff. But because we're playing D Shifter, you can't Droplet under D Shifter, so yeah, it's not gonna work. So I think Dark Ruler was definitely... plus, a lot of people... Dark Ruler is the card to play right now, since most people... Well, the only reason the meta decks are playing it is mostly because most meta decks right now, like Tearlaments and Spite, they want to keep their hand, since Tearlaments, they don't get their effects if they get sent for cost for Droplet, so Droplet won't allow them to trigger their fusion effects. And so people are playing Dark Ruler for that reason. Same with Spite, you want to keep hand advantage. So definitely, everyone's playing Dark Ruler right now, so I think it's fine. If I do decide to cut the D Shifter one day, maybe like it's not helping as much as I thought, or it's hurting my deck too much, then I'll definitely put the Droplets back in, just because with BA, Droplets is definitely, in my opinion, the better choice. Now going into, I guess, consistency cards, just the 2 Pot of Desires. Of course, it's draw 2, and we're playing 3 of all the important names, so... I've never had it happen yet where I've banished 3 of one type of monster. So it's really good in this deck, for sure. This deck needs some kind of draw power, so I definitely think Desires is necessary, or Prosperity. And now for the 1-ofs, we got 1 Called By, 1 Foolish, and 1 Galaxy Cyclone. Of course, Called By, it's stops hand traps. It's an amazing card going first or second, honestly. Foolish is honestly a good going first or second card as well. Going first, it can start your plays. It's basically any BA name. And going second, it can force interruptions as well. You can send Farfa, you can send Alec to negate or banish a card on field. And Galaxy Cycle is just the 1 back row hate to try to out either Mystic Mine or some kind of back row problematic one or whatever. And this is amazing for outing Floodgates, because if you get it in grave, you mill it off Dante, you send it off Beatrice, and on the following turn you can just banish it to pop a face-up card on the field. So pretty good stuff. That's it for the main guys. It's 40 card list. Yeah, like I said, if the only thing that I would probably maybe change in the future, again, is maybe the D-Shifter along with the Dark Ruler. If I take out D-Shifter, like I said, I'll replace the Dark Rulers back for droplets. And the shifters will probably become maybe either Ghost Ogres or Effect Veilers, most likely. But yeah, let's get right into the extra deck now. So of course, standard 2 or one Beatrice, 2 Dante. Very standard. Dante definitely amazing card in this deck, and Beatrice of course 1 at 1. So no need to really explain that. I don't know if I did it in my last deck profile, but I had taken out the DDD package for a little while in the last month or so, because while the DDD package is very good, because it lets you make a 3K beater and go into a 4 material Zeus, it doesn't help. Like, the only drawback is that, yeah, Zeus is good, but let's say they just imperm your Zeus when the opponent is back to the opponent's turn. You're only interruption on board, most likely. Yeah, you might have a hand trap or something, but Zeus being negated or getting rid of Zeus on the field before I can actually interrupt my opponent, it just really hurts the deck. And the DDD stuff doesn't generate any kind of follow-up, so even if, like, at least if you're able to set up, Zeus with Dante and Downward underneath it, you're going to get not only to trigger your BA effects, but Dante will also help you recur back your BAs back to your hand, which of course is better for the follow-up, while the DDD stuff does not do that. So it definitely has its problems, but of course it is amazing that it allows you to go into a 4 material Zeus while getting a 3K beater on board, which can basically run over almost anything. But like I said, I had taken it out before because I felt like it wasn't doing enough. Yeah, so I had taken it out before, and I was running Avermax and what's the other? Oh yeah, and Fortune Tune. I took out the Avermax and Fortune Tune to put these back in again. Avermax had actually been coming in kind of clutch, guys. Not gonna lie, so definitely spicy tech if y'all want to try that. And Fortune Tune, it hardly ever comes up, honestly. I know it's a good card, but I had not really had it come up at all in like the last 6 months. So I was like, yeah. So I took it out. But now that we're playing the D-Shifter, because we're playing D-Shifter, the whole follow-up thing doesn't matter, because Dante, like, if you use D-Shifter on your opponent's turn, you're still going to be under D-Shifter on your turn, right? So you can't, like, you're not going to mill stuff with Dante. You're not going to, you're not going to do any of that kind of stuff. So the follow-up, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but it's a little bit less important. So the DDD stuff helps, and because you can't, like, mill with Dante, I think he has to send to graveyard. So because basically you can't mill with Dante, going into, you can't get a body. Dante will stay at 1,000. So the DDD stuff just comes in clutch for those moments. And yeah, D-Shifter is just such a strong card that I feel like you can afford to go into the DDD stuff without it really affecting your plays much. So yeah, definitely I thought it was necessary to bring it back into the deck. And then we got the whole Zeus package, 1 Downward, 2 Zeus. Because we have the DDD stuff again, I think just 1 Downward is necessary. You have basically 2 ways to get into a 4 material Zeus: the DDD stuff, or the Dante with Downward and Zeus. So, and then definitely, I mean, I feel like recently the 2 Zeus has not come up as much anymore, but it still comes up enough for me to be like, I definitely think the build needs 2 Zeus, honestly. So that's it for the XYZs. And I go into the Link monsters. We're playing the 1 Goddess. This card I mostly just have it here in order to out cards like Borderland, Psychic End Punisher, things like that. The Tower from the Attic Nister deck. So I definitely think that this card, while it doesn't come up too often, it's I feel like it's necessary just to have that option to out those, because this deck doesn't really have very many outs to, you know, cards like that, like Borderland, like Psychic and Punisher. But that card helps a lot. And then the one Access Code Talker, of course, helps with OTKs. It can help clear a certain card on board. It can out Floodgates as well, since you can banish itself for cost and still trigger its effect to pop a card like Skill Drain. So yeah, very, very good card. But honestly, I'll be honest, I have not gone into this card that much. I feel like most of the time the game ends before I can actually go into Access Code. But I definitely do still think he's necessary in the deck for OTKs and all that. One Unicorn, of course, along with the, look at this, guys. Finally got my hands on one. I don't know if y'all can tell from the video, but got me a Starlight IP Masquerena. But of course, these two cards go kind of hand in hand together. IP goes into Unicorn and, you know, bounce a card on you. The typical going first combo is IP Beatrice, so that's how it works. And then IP, of course, like I said, part of this typical for going first combo, so definitely necessary. And before, when I was playing the Avermax, oh my god, having IP go into Avermax was just nasty. Like, Avermax can't be targeted by card effects. Then when you add the IP, it can't be destroyed by card effects, and then it can basically not be run over once per turn, like, because it can quick effect gain the attack of the monster it battles. So it's like it's almost impossible to out the card. So yeah, I decided definitely, even without Avermax, IP is still absolutely mandatory. So yeah, that's it for those, and then the rest of the Link 2s, we got one Cherubini and one Dark, of course, another Starlight card right here. I know it's kind of hard to tell in the video, but got myself a Starlight Dark as well. I think before I actually was not playing the Dark. I forgot what I was playing, but I had cut the Dark for a while, but I decided to bring it back in, and it actually has come up a good amount of the time, so I'm glad. I think Dark definitely has a place in this deck, and it's not like absolutely necessary, but it's definitely a good card to run. And of course, Cherubini just helps with OTKs, gets your combos going in this deck. And yeah, of course, it synergizes with the deck because this card is a Burning Abyss card, so you can bring it back with Seer and things like that. And last but not least, the one Purple Dante. Of course, this is probably the biggest, I guess, questionable card, since he doesn't come up enough, but when he does, it's just so good and it's such a nice feeling. But you could honestly just cut this card. It does not come up enough for me to be like, it's a mandatory card in the extra deck. But I just like running it. If anything, you could replace this, maybe add in either a second Downerd, which it might not be necessary since we do play, like I said, the DDD package, but maybe if you wanted to add in an Appaloosa or the Avermax like I was playing before. I think the biggest three options would be Appaloosa, Avermax, or maybe a Lina. Lina, it doesn't come up as much as Dark, but I do think Lina also sometimes comes up, since a lot of your extra deck monsters are lights. Dante's, Beatrice, Zeus, those are all light monsters, so sometimes Lina has come up a little bit. But I think Appaloosa or Avermax would be better options. But yeah, I want to play the Purple Dante. It's just such a fun card. It's really nice rewarding when you get to summon him. But that's basically it, guys. That's it for the deck profile. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. This is Burning Abyss, definitely my favorite deck, probably. And this is how I decided to build a deck for, post Power of the Elements. If I decide to make massive changes or big changes, I'll probably update it again in the next month or two. And yeah, guys, stay tuned for more content. I am gonna be playing like 2 or 3 other decks in the near future. Different decks. Like I said, Dragon Link will take a backseat for a while. Probably won't be updating that deck for the Pulse Power of Elements, just because I definitely feel like if you're gonna play Dragon Link, you need to be playing the adventure stuff right now, and I don't really want to play that. But I do have 2 other decks that I'm building that I definitely will be profiling in the future. I am about to go on vacation in like the next few days, so I probably won't. For sure, there will not be a video up for at least like a week and a half. But I'm hoping once I get back from vacation, I can upload And plus, I'm still missing a few of the cards for one of those decks. So, but once I get back, my cards will be here. So I'll definitely be able to showcase 2 new decks that I have never posted on my channel before. So stay tuned for that, guys. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.